this is Ryan from the support team at Proxy Networks. We are a Boston-based provider of remote desktop software used by countless IT departments in education, legal, state and local government, oil, gas, and more. Inside each Proxy Network software zip file, you'll see the deployment tool. It's used to create an install package for the client, which we call the Proxy Pro host. There's a range of settings that can be pre-configured and baked into the installation, and that's what we're covering today. Open a new browser tab and visit products.proxynetworks.com/downloads. P2P edition customers can grab the P2P zip file, and RAS edition customers can get the RAS zip file respectively. Once downloaded, extract the zip file and then install the deployment tool. Let's open the deployment tool and we can begin. Let's tell the deployment tool which host installation file we're planning to make a package for by right-clicking Installation Files, click Browse, and locate the Host-x64.msi installer from the extraction folder. Next, we'll create a settings template, so let's expand Product Configurations, right-click Host, and then choose New Configuration. Let's give the template a name such as Host Settings. And then the right pane populates with all of the available host side settings, and while there is a lot here, most of it can be left alone. I will spend the next few minutes breaking down the most important settings that each customer is going to want to run with, and maybe a couple others. And by the way, I'll bring up the proxy host control panel, which is the UI for the client, so that you can see where each of these settings are located within the software. First thing you want to do is equip your settings template with probably your license key. Let's double click the licenses line, hit the radio button for use this value, and then you can paste in your license key. This would be from your contract PDF. Alright, so let's talk about how you want the host to behave when a connection is launched. Do you want the end user to be prompted to click an accept button to let you in, or would you prefer just to click it and get right in? You should know that the default is no permission required, so that if that's what you want, you can skip ahead. Set the host's connection permission to grant only if you want the connection to succeed if the user clicks an accept button to let you in. Conversely, you'll want to set the grant time value to 30 seconds, and you'll be auto-rejected if nobody replies. The other option for connection permission is request, and similar to grant, the user is prompted to accept or reject you when you try to connect. The difference is that if nobody's in front of the computer to accept or reject you, and the timer ticks down to 0, Proxy will let you connect to the host, either as it was left or to the locked screen. Double-click the locked workstation on default one and set this to yes if you are using request and you want to be connected to a locked workstation instead of the user's desktop as it was left. Also, if a computer was sitting at either the locked or login screens, Proxy can be configured not to have a prompt for the console user, as if it's at the locked or login screen, this implies nobody's in front of it. And you can save yourself 30 seconds by setting this to yes. That's it for connection permissions, so the next setting applies to RAS customers only. Let's double-click the Gateways line and configure what server address the host should report to. This is where we'll enter an address like support.mydomain.com and Secure WebSockets, or WSS, as the protocol, and this uses 443, that's what we want. If your Proxy Pro RAS server lives within the same network as the hosts and is not externally facing, you can use the TCP protocol instead. That uses port 2303. And now for the naming convention. Let's figure out how you'd like your hosts to be listed to you, and I'll overlay a few of the common choices on the side. By default, the hosts will show up in the fashion of their computer name, but we can do one better by showing the hosts with its logged-in username and its computer name together, so that they're listed in the fashion of user on computer. Let's double-click station name and input %username% on %name%, just like that, and click OK. So now you can search for machines based on the logged-in user or the computer name. Those are the bare minimum settings we recommend rolling with, but there are a few others to consider. The host has a tray icon that's always visible. Most customers set it to hidden when idle, so that it's only visible when there's a connection in progress. The host emits a beep by default when a connection is established and when it's closed, and you can turn it off here if you'd like. It is on by default. When a connection is made and closed, the host will show a connection notice in the bottom right-hand corner, and it's on by default, and you can disable it by visiting Host Notifications, use this value, then leave all of the values unchecked. Next up, we have watermarking. We can overlay the identity of the connected user or users in the top right corner of the host screen so that anybody walking by or anybody at the console can see who the user is who's remotely operating the machine. We also introduced a fluorescent green border which appears along the edges of the screens to go along with it. Although there are more settings, we'll save that for another video. Let's say we're done with our template, and let's first save a backup of our work by right-clicking Proxy Deployment Tool and then Export to JSON. Let's save this somewhere convenient, probably in the same directory, I suppose. And then now turn to your settings template, and now we're going to turn your settings template into a transform file that Windows understands. So we'll right-click the template, choose New, Transform File. Let's give it a name like Host-x64 and click OK. Now, we understand that nearly all customers have their own preferred software distribution approach these days, and the common theme is that they all want an msiexec command to install the host with its transform file. Below is the baseline command we'll recommend, and it's also in the video description so you can copy it out. This command installs the host quietly with no interface and appends the transform file that we created so that each of your desired settings get applied right at install time. Now, if you need to make a revision to your settings, that's fine. Just adjust the settings template, and then when you're finished, right-click your template, click New Transform File, and then you can overwrite your existing one. So let's say you want to use the Proxy Deployment Tool to do a software push. First thing we'll do is expand Active Directory domains in the left, and you can right-click to refresh if it doesn't find it, and then you'll find your domain with some containers underneath it, and again you can right-click to refresh if there's been any changes recently. So let's find the machine you want to do a deployment tool. We'll right-click, choose Install Software, and we'll choose the install file first, and there's only one in this case, the one we just plugged in, and then we choose the transform file that goes with it so that the host gets installed with the settings that we just put together. Then the final choice is we probably want to choose Do Not Restart After Install, and then when you click OK, that will send out the software to the machine. And if you'd like to deploy to multiple machines, what we can do is highlight the container in the left, then the right pane populates with each of them. Do a Control-A to select all, or hold Control and click the ones you need. Right-click, Install Software, same process. So that about covers the process of using the Proxy Deployment Tool to create that install package and how to get it deployed. I appreciate you keeping up with us, and we'll catch you in the next one.